How to apply the 48 laws of power. Building Machiavellian competence. Laying the groundwork. This chapter focuses on how to apply the ideas within Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Many readers find Greene's book brilliant, yet difficult to use in practice. The issue is not in Greene's writing, but in the gap between theory and application. To truly benefit, a reader must go beyond the text. They must build new skills, develop supporting methods, and deepen their understanding of human behavior. The book outlines principles of power, but leaves unspoken the qualities one must cultivate to apply them effectively. Without these qualities, the student risks becoming an academic of power rather than a practitioner. The scope of this work is to highlight those skill sets so that aspiring strategists can turn Greene's insights into daily action. Although Greene provides powerful insights, his book lacks methodology. Think of it as a cookbook. He gives you the ingredients, but no recipes. The laws are the raw materials of strategy, but the process of turning them into usable tools is missing. To someone untrained, the book introduces a fascinating world, yet leaves them without a map for how to navigate it. Greene deliberately avoids step-by-step examples. He tells stories from history to illustrate the laws, but does not explain how to apply them in common, everyday situations. As a result, readers often understand the mechanics of power, but not how to translate them into personal practice. Greene himself remarked that he hoped his book would be used as a defense against natural manipulators rather than as a manual for abuse. This helps explain why it does not provide direct training. Yet many readers seek more than passive awareness. They want active mastery. That is where this work begins, providing direction on how to turn theory into practical Machiavellian skill. Key points. Greene intended the 48 Laws of Power as a defensive tool against manipulators, not a manual for exploitation. Psychopaths do not need the book since much of it comes naturally to them. The text teaches through stories and theory, not step-by-step instructions. Its value lies in raising awareness and providing memorable lessons, not direct application. This gap in practical strategy and weaponization is where further analysis and teaching can expand on Greene's work. The Machiavellian Toolbox. To apply Greene's laws consistently, one must cultivate a collection of core competencies. These are not optional. They form the backbone of effective Machiavellian practice. Without them, one risks having knowledge without power. Below are 6 essential skills that make up the vocational toolbox of a competent Machiavellian. 1. Developing an analytical mind. A Machiavellian must prioritize logic over emotion. Emotions cloud judgment, cause transparency, and reduce control. Logical reasoning, by contrast, allows one to analyze outwardly, deduce with clarity, and calculate accurately. Your emotions should never drive your analysis. Instead, analyze the emotions of others, as these are often the most revealing clues to their intentions. The less you let your own feelings intrude, the sharper your deductions will be. Key points. An analytical mind prioritizes logic over emotion, allowing clearer judgment and deduction. Emotive reasoning creates fallibility, self-exposure, and poor judgment. Logic looks outward and abstract, while emotion turns inward and solipsistic. Personal emotions hinder analysis, but the emotions of others are critical to observe and will be addressed later. Mastery requires subduing one's own feelings to analyze external reality with precision. 2. Mastering subtextual communication. Your perception of the unseen must be sharp. Wit is a muscle that must be trained, and its strength lies in recognizing what others overlook. Words and actions are rarely one-dimensional. They carry layers of meaning such as innuendo, double entendre, and puns, the very tools of rhetoric and subtext. To navigate power dynamics effectively, you must become fluent in this hidden language. If you cannot penetrate the realm of subtext, You cannot hope to be a successful Machiavellian. Without grasping the nuances of character, the essence of another person will forever remain beyond your comprehension. Subtext forms a distinct mode of communication, and blindness to it becomes an Achilles heel. Ignorance here weakens your strategy and diminishes your effectiveness. Communication is always multi-layered. Train yourself to discern what is said, what is truly meant, what might be implied. Once these possibilities are identified, perform a threat-reward assessment. Measure the likelihood of each interpretation, weighing them against available data. Only act when the outcome promises a clear gain or when action is necessary to prevent loss. You will not always choose correctly, but you can minimize errors. When failure strikes, assess the damage, adapt, and recalibrate. Mistakes are inevitable. Refinement is born from them. Yet when blunders endanger your standing, prioritize damage control above all, unless the relationship itself is expendable. 3. Becoming eloquently articulate. Language is a weapon, and your speech is its delivery system. Eloquence protects you when challenged and allows you to influence others with precision. In moments of public pressure, quick wit and articulate responses protect your reputation. Silence or poor phrasing can cost you status. Eloquence also empowers you to persuade, interrogate, or defend against psychological ambush. In a world where physical confrontation is rare, words have become the primary battlefield. 4. Emotional intelligence and infiltration. You must develop refined emotional intelligence. This is where those who favor emotional communication can offset weaknesses noted earlier. This does not mean analyzing with emotion. It means communicating through emotion and inspiring emotion in others. Robotic behavior has no charm. Learn how emotions relate to one another and how they trigger neighboring states. To do this well, grasp the character and depth of each emotion. Understand the nature of each emotion so you can use it to guide people toward predictable outcomes. If you can feel what others feel, you gain intimate knowledge of how to influence them. Do not be driven by the emotion you sense. Treat it as data. Use that data to determine how best to influence someone who is constrained by their own emotional imperatives. In short, feel as others feel, yet remain detached from the compulsion that would drive a less disciplined mind to act on those feelings. With this knowledge, you can plan in many ways. If you understand what emotionally propels a person, you can fill their void by becoming the source of their desires. This echoes Law 11, keeping people dependent on you. Shared emotion also builds trust and rapport. With sufficient knowledge, anyone can become an emotional provider for another, regardless of wealth or status. This ability to reshape yourself into an object of emotional desire allows powerful social influence. Do not underestimate this. Many overlook emotion, but it is worth mastering. Emotional intelligence, combined with awareness of a person's social ties, reveals emotional weak points that can be leveraged if you choose a more aggressive path. 5. Cold reading. You must learn cold reading. It is the ability to detect and interpret subtle nonverbal cues such as tone, posture, body language, eye and facial movements, clothing and accessories, accent, and register. This lets you infer someone's state of mind and current priorities without explicit questions. Knowing how people feel about you regardless of their words is invaluable. The ability to form accurate generalizations without probing gives you a large edge over those who cannot read nonverbal signals. Cold reading is a prerequisite for Machiavellians because it greatly boosts deductive effectiveness. 6. Superficial charm. Machiavellianism requires steady in-field analysis and frequent social contact. Every interaction should serve a purpose. In conversation, you should size people up and collect information to understand their nature. Doing so lets you calibrate your demeanor to their preferences and socialize across many types. Along the way, you may also encounter valuable information that can give you leverage, such as confidences and secrets. People often greet you with a curated version of themselves, a social representative they have learned to present. You must get past that to truly know them. Machiavellianism works best when wrapped in charm and humor. Charm is the anesthesia of suspicion. It lets you probe without causing pain or paranoia. In medicine, sedatives allow physical operations. Here, the adjustment is cognitive. If people do not trust you because you cannot make them comfortable, the interrogative nature of Machiavellian practice will breed resentment and distance. For best results, always apply charm. Comfort produces trust, and trust expands cooperative options. A classic book that helps build charm is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Concluding statements. Avoiding misapplication. Not every law in Green's book fits every situation. Some laws contradict others. This confuses many aspiring Machiavellians and younger readers. Green often flips laws on their heads to show that reversals can be just as effective. Your analytical mind must determine whether to apply a law as written or to use its reversal based on the nuances of the situation. You must understand your setting and how to behave in it. You need to read the people around you, their status, usefulness, opinions, relationships, motives, and desires. The book gives you ingredients for power, not handholding. Generally, the easier your life has been, the harder it may be to use the teachings effectively. Pain has power because it forces change and opens the mind to possibilities once ignored. With deep analysis of your social environment, you can see what happens behind the scenes and select laws that fit. Tailor your implementation to your target, the scenario, and the consequences of applying a specific law. For instance, Law 34, act royal in your own fashion, and Law 1, never outshine the master, often conflict. You typically cannot apply both to the same person at the same time. Acting regal will likely outshine. Trying to project both messages sends mixed signals and arouses suspicion. Using Law 34 on a narcissist or someone more powerful raises their guard. Using it with those low in Machiavellian intelligence can inspire respect. Using Law 1 with a superior, a narcissist, or someone highly Machiavellian lowers their guard. Using it with someone of low Machiavellian intelligence may lead them to dismiss you. To simplify, the powerful want to believe you are weak, so let them believe it. That helps you gain acceptance. A skilled Machiavellian avoids appearing as competition until it is too late. When rivals can no longer stop your moves, that is when you make your entrance, aligning with Law 28, enter action with boldness. The powerful desire your passivity because they want to keep their dominance. They are players, and competition threatens their position. The less powerful, however, want you to be strong because they seek attachment to strength. They fear for survival more than prestige. This can become emotional parasitism if the relationship is unwelcome, though Law 34 often exploits this tendency among the average, who are, by definition, less powerful. Misusing the laws produces social failure, not success. If you apply them clumsily, they will not work, and at worst, they will damage your reputation. You also need to master the specific skills listed earlier to be proficient. A final note of advice. Practice refining these skills on people you do not value highly. If your experimentation ruins that relationship, its disposable nature means you have not lost anything significant.